the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from the sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
Well, thank you very much, and hello, Duluth. Hello, Duluth. And a very special hello to Georgia. And I'm hearing our numbers are very, very good. There's a rumor out there. We're doing well, thank you very much, and I'm thrilled to be back in this incredible state with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots, which is what you are. And I'd like to begin by asking a very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? That was very unanimous, wasn't it? The answer is no. By any standard, the answer is no. And I'm here today with a message of hope for all Americans. With your vote in this election, I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of criminals into our country. And I will bring back the American dream. I'm going to bring it back very quickly. Our country is being destroyed and crippled by Kamala Harris, a person that got no votes. Therefore, she's a threat to democracy. But together, we're going to fix our nation, and we're going to fix our nation fast. With your support on November 5th, America will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than ever before. This election is a choice between whether we will have 4 more years of incompetence, failure, and disaster, or whether we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. After all the catastrophes she has caused, Kamala Harris can't say one thing that you'd do differently. You saw that? What would you do differently? I can't think of anything. This is the worst president in the history of our country and the worst vice president in the history of our country. And Wrong Track just came out. 89% wrong track. I want to know, who are the 11%? Who are they? Where are they? I'm asking you to be excited about the future of our country again. This will be America's new golden age. And remember, every problem facing us can be solved, but now the fate of our nation is in your hands. In Georgia, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that, Kamala, you've done a horrible job. You're the worst ever. There's never been anybody like you. You can't put two sentences together. The world is laughing at us because of you and Crooked Joe. Kamala, you're fired. Get out. Get out. Get out. You're fired. Two days ago, I was in western North Carolina where I witnessed the terrible devastation of Hurricane Helene. And I was here in Georgia with your governor a few weeks ago. He's doing a good job, by the way. Very good job. Thank you. To every family who has lost a loved one or a home in that terrible storm, our hearts are with you and we are praying for you. The polls, despite everything, the polls, do you see what's happening here? Here, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia. The polls are through the roof, but what's better than that? The early voting is, people have never seen anything like it. They've never seen anything like it because the American people are fed up with the people that are leading us down a road to disaster. So the polls are open for early voting in Georgia every day from now till November 1st. You got to get out there and vote, but most importantly, just vote. Whichever way you want to do it. I've been one that says, whichever way, just get out and vote. Be a little careful, make sure your vote gets counted. There are ways of doing that too. With your help, 13 days from now, we're going to win Georgia. We're going to defeat Kamala Harris, and we are going to make America great again. Thank you. What a nice crowd this is. What a nice crowd. If Kamala gets 4 more years, she will obliterate our economy, kill millions of jobs, and destroy your family finances forever. They're destroying our country. They're destroying our country. It's not even possible that they can be doing what they're doing to our country. They're either really bad people, they don't have a clue, maybe they're stupid people. But you know what, I'll tell you, or maybe they just want to get extra voters. Nobody really knows the answer, but just from a common sense, you know, we are the party of common sense, and from a common sense standpoint, how can they be doing what they're doing? Kamala's inflation nightmare has already cost the typical family over $30,000 in higher prices, and now she wants to raise typical family taxes by nearly $3,000 a year. She has no idea. Did you see her today? She was asked kindergarten-type questions by MSDNC. She was unable to answer them. But the best is 60 Minutes. They changed her answer. Should I sue them? Should I sue? Should we sue 60 Minutes and CBS? No, think of it. They asked her a question on 60 Minutes, which is news. You know, these companies have to get licensed. And in the licensing, it says they have to be honest. They gave her a question. She gave an answer that was from a loony bin. They said, we can't have that. They took the answer out in its entirety, threw it away, and they put another answer in. And I think it's the biggest scandal in broadcasting history. That's what I think. It's election interference fraud. The tax queen, because that's what she was called. She loves taxes. This is the only person I've ever seen. She campaigns on "We will raise your taxes." All my life I've watched politics and everybody says, "We will cut your taxes, cut you." She says she's going to raise your taxes. The tax queen is also demanding a shocking 33% tax hike on all domestic production, along with the largest capital gains tax on unrealized gains. Unrealized. In the history of our country, it's really a confiscation of your property. It will crash the stock market and decimate your 401ks, but we'll have a 1929 type depression. This woman is crazy. Take a look at this.
Joe Biden and I are about to get rid of that tax bill, calling for a full repeal of President Trump's tax cuts. If Kamala Harris was elected president, there are many different tax policies which could cripple the economy, but the first thing she wants to do is allow these Trump tax cuts to expire.
Even the New York Times admits that 85% of the middle class got a tax cut.
Americans will face a hike. The Tax Foundation finding that a couple with 2 kids making $165,000 a year would have to pay over $2,400 more in taxes.
And on day one, I will repeal that tax bill. Joe Biden and I are about to work to get rid of that tax cut. Joe and I are about to get rid of that tax bill. Joe Biden and I are about to get rid of that tax cut.
Everything from a 70 to 80% tax rate.
I think that's fantastic. We've got to increase the corporate tax rate. Part of that is going to be about repealing that tax bill that they just passed. And also looking at estate taxes are going to have to go up. We will tax capital gains, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes.
Taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word.
When the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way the stock moves to say, we're going to tax what you don't have. That's a sore point, and it's a big deal. Is that something you think she firmly believes in?
I think it's part of the proposals of the campaign.
Under my plan, there will also be a carbon fee. There has to be some connection between the fee and bad behaviors, and there has to be, in that we have to monitor whether it's going to be passed on to consumers. But I'm going to tell you that should never be the reason not to actually put a fee, and in particular, a carbon fee.
Kamala Harris is also pushing the largest small business tax hike in history. Your businesses are just going to go to other countries. That's all that's going to happen. We brought it down to the lowest level we've ever had, and they're going to just drive everybody out. That means the jobs are going to be included. And she wants to massively increase the death tax, or the inheritance tax, as it's known in some quarters, which we eliminated in the Trump tax cuts. You know, we eliminated the inheritance tax on small businesses and family farms. And such a big thing. You know, a farmer has a little beautiful farm. The kids grow up in the farm. They're getting a little older. They sign their will. If they love their kids, not everybody does. But if they love their kids, listen to this. But if they don't worry. Just go to sleep for about 30 seconds. So what happens is they leave it, and what happened before me is they would lose their farms because the tax would be very substantial, like 52%, and they couldn't pay, so they go to the bank, the friendly banker, they'd borrow the money, they'd put it against the farm. Within 2 years, the farm was gone, and everybody was crying, and it was a disaster. I got rid of it. There's no more estate tax. There's no more estate tax on your beautiful family farm, and there's or small business, and that's a big deal, and they want to end that. They don't want that. They don't like that. They want you to pay a nice big tax and destroy your lives. We're joined tonight by Michael Bellerman, president of the Associated Builders and Contractors, represent over 23,000 small businesses and construction companies. And as a builder, I am very honored to receive their endorsement. They gave me a unanimous endorsement today. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a great honor. And we were also endorsed by, unanimously, the Border Patrol, unanimously. And I say modestly, they said he's the greatest president we've ever had and the strongest on the border. They said it's not possible to be stronger. We had it down to the lowest level in history. Oh, by the way, should we drop my favorite chart in the entire world? I love it. Drop that chart, please. Drop it. Let's see, we're gonna, oh. There it is. I was looking at me. I started looking at me and I'm looking, I do not like the wear, I don't like my hair tonight. I started looking at me, but I'd rather look at the chart. The chart, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that chart, right? Wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here, but if you notice the arrow on the bottom, I take it to bed every night and I kiss it. Roll it up and just kiss it. See the arrow on the bottom? That is the day I left office. Look what happened after that. What they've done to our country is unbelievable. And that includes human trafficking, which is mostly in women. Do you know they lost 325,000 children in the last 3.5 years? Think of that. That's your biggest stadium, filled up many, many times. 325,000. They're either dead, they're sex slaves, or they're slaves, but they're missing. Probably most of them never to be seen again. This is under their open border, horrible, horrible policy. And nobody talks about it. The fake news, look at all of them back there. Look at all of them. That's a lot. That's a lot of fake news. The fake news won't talk about it. I've never seen, 325,000 children gone. They're gone. And the fake news doesn't write stories about it. They don't talk about it. And even when I put up, like we're going to see a couple of videos tonight, they never put the camera on the video. A friend of mine calls me, oh, I love watching you on television, but when you put up videos, and they're important videos, and instructive, and they teach you what the hell's going on, the camera can't move their damn little camera like this and like that. They're just like a piece of steel. And we say, move your camera. They won't do it because the executives back in New York and in California say, don't move that camera. The camera operator does want to move it, but wants to keep his job. Can you believe it? They won't move the camera, so you won't see at home. I'm sorry to tell you. You won't see it. You won't see it. It's horrible. So when you look at that, that was the best we had had, and it was going better. We had it done. The border was the most secure it ever was. And then they came in. They got rid of Remain in Mexico. That's pretty good, right? Remain in Mexico. Wasn't easy either. It was Remain in Mexico. When I said to the president of Mexico, he's a good guy. He's a socialist, but that's okay. These are minor details. But I said, listen, President, we want everybody to remain in Mexico before they come in. We want to check them out before they come in, Mr. President. He laughed at me. He said, that's so funny, Donald. Why would we ever do that? I said, you're going to do it 100%? You're going to do it 100%? No, we cannot do that. We're not going to. Why would we do a thing like that? That'd be hundreds of thousands of people. That's right, on your side of the border, not on ours. He said, we will not do that. We will not do that. I said, listen, I don't want to embarrass you, so send me over your representative. And a man came over to the White House 2 days later wearing the most beautiful suit I think I've ever seen. And I wanted to ask him, who is your tailor? But I didn't think that would be an appropriate way to start the negotiation. Most gorgeous looking, the guy was a handsome guy. That suit was like perfect. But I thought I wouldn't do that. And I said, we want a couple of things. But we want you to, number one, provide us thousands of soldiers free of charge because you're letting people pour into our country. They said, we won't do that. I said, yes, you will, 100%. He said, we won't. I said, yes, you will. He said, no way. I said, way. And I said, you're going to do it. And the woman from the State Department, very good woman, but a terrible negotiator. She was 25 years. All she did was Mexico. And I said, we want this, and we want that. We want all these different things, 10 different things. The medical stay. We wanted everything. And she said, sir, I've been after that for 25 years. I said, well, maybe you and I are different. I will guarantee you I will have it by the end of this meeting. So I told him, you're going to give us all of these different things, and you're going to keep the people there, and we're going to let the people in if we want to, because we want to have people come in, but we want them to come in legally, right? And he said, sir, we won't do that. We will not do that, and we're not going to do Remain in Mexico. I said, here's the story. It's Friday. By Monday morning at 7 o'clock, if you don't approve this, and that means over the next 5 minutes, we are going to charge you tariffs of 25%, 50%, 75%. They're never going to stop. He said, sir, you can't do that. That's not fair, sir. I said, no, it's not fair that you're sending people through your country and into our country and destroying our country. It's not fair. That's what's not fair. So this goes into effect at 7 o'clock on Monday morning. Have a nice weekend. He comes back. May I see you in 5 minutes? May I make a call to Mexico? I said, are you going to call the president? Yes, I am. He comes back in 2 minutes. Sir, it would be our honor to supply you with soldiers. It would be our great honor to supply you with as many soldiers, free of charge, of course, sir. As many as you want. You have no idea what I did in the White House. I stopped wars with France. France, you know the France story? They were going to charge us, think of this, 25% to all America. I have to protect American companies, whether we like them or not. Some of them I didn't even like. You know, Google is treating us much better. Do you notice that? What happened to Google? They're treating us much better. Very nice. I appreciate that very much. They say McDonald's was one of the most viewed things that they've ever had. Could you believe McDonald's? That was a hell of a one, right? But France, Emmanuel Macron, good man, nice guy, but he's a wise guy, though. And he likes France, and I like the USA. So I heard about it. I gave it to our people. I said, tell them we're not paying this massive 25% tax. Our companies, we have to protect our companies. And I gave it to Mnuchin. I gave it to everybody. I said, you call them and tell them. They came back, sir, they won't do it. Then they came back again, and they won't do it. I said, you got one more chance. Come back. They came back, sir, they won't do it. And I called up Emmanuel. I said, get me Emmanuel Macron. I said, Emmanuel, here's the story. You're charging our companies very unfairly a 25% tax. Is that right? Oh, yes, Donald. This was approved by our parliament or whatever the hell they have over there. What? There's 47 different names for that stuff. Yes, Donald, this was fully approved, and there's nothing much I can do about it. Emmanuel, here's the story. If you don't take that tax off, by the end of business hours today, I'm charging you a 100% tariff on every bottle of wine and champagne that comes in to the USA. And he said, Donald, that is not fair. I said, no, it's not fair that you're charging our companies this massive tax because they happen to be American companies. I said, we're not a stupid country anymore, Emmanuel. He's used to dealing with stupid people over here because we've had some beauties, the deals that we allow. And he said, it's not fair. I said, you got 3 minutes, Emmanuel. Tell me what to do. May I call you back? Yes, he calls me back. Donald, we have decided to remove the tax from American companies. I did that. I could stand up here. Nobody writes about this stuff. And I wish I put it on tape, but every time I say, oh, I'd love these conversations. I could tell you with Italy what I did. I could tell you. Here's the problem. Every time I think about I want to tape every conversation. The problem is then I start thinking about Richard Nixon did that. And I say, let's do without the tape. We'll do without the tape. Now, every time I said, did we record that? No, sir, we did not. I wish, because some of them were classics. You could really hear something. But no, we don't want to do that. Richard Nixon, that was not good. When they found out he taped every single conversation. But under Kamala, the construction industry will be decimated. You have to vote Trump, and we will rebuild America. We're going to rebuild America. We're going to do it quickly, too. And we already gave you the biggest tax cut in history. We gave you the biggest regulation cuts by far, by 5 times in the history of our country. And you know, I went to the big business guys, they come in and they kiss my ass. It's unbelievable, these guys. You know, before I was president, Trump is on the phone. Tell him I'll call him back sometime. Once I became president, oh, sir, it's such a pleasure to speak to you, sir. It's such a great honor. Oh, I see him. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But we got you the biggest tax cuts in history, biggest regulation. And I said to some of the biggest guys running the big companies, good guys, some bad guys, some are really stupid as hell, some are good. But I said, let me ask you, I gave you the biggest tax cut in history, along with everybody, and it created jobs, all that. And I gave you the biggest regulation cuts in history. Which is better? Every single one of them said the regulation cuts were more important. People couldn't do anything. They couldn't build anything. They couldn't build plants. They couldn't build. I approved one in Louisiana. 14 years it was under, they know exactly which one, big LNG monster. $14 billion too, $14 billion it was going to cost. I think Japan and other countries were putting up the money. After 14 years, they gave up, and I called my people together, and I said, we can't lose that. It's so good, number one. Number two, the jobs. Number three, I mean, it's just important that it's vital that we have it. I got it done in one day. It was done. Congratulations. They use a lot of times the environment to try and stop projects. Not a lot of times, let's say every time, but we have to be very careful with that because we're all environmentalists, but we have to be very careful. You destroy our country. I will pass historic tax cuts for our workers and small businesses, and we will have, very important, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our seniors. And we're also going to do something else, and this just came and I announced it in Detroit, because Detroit has been decimated. It's been decimated by stupid politicians. And it just came to me. I was called by some of the smartest guys on Wall Street. They said, how did you ever think of it? I used the paper clip. You know, the paper clip, very simple. They take a little piece of wire, they go like this. The guy became rich. And once everybody saw it, comes in a little box, 129 years ago, probably the same little box. And everybody said, why the hell didn't I think of that? Well, this is the same thing. Tax deduction on interest payments on a car. How about that? How about that? Nobody ever thought of it. And then I came up with a little wrinkle. But only if the car is built in the USA. Is that a good idea? Right? And then I'm going to be working with Elon Musk, who endorsed us very powerfully. He's great. All I know is I watched that rocket come down. I never saw that. I thought I was watching a movie or something, a space-age movie. I watched that rocket. I was on the phone with a very important person that everybody in this room will know. I got to be careful with using his name. I like to be nice and careful. You know that. And then I decide, am I better off being careful or really entertaining people? And I usually decide on the side of entertainment, and then I have problems. And I have problems. Now I'm talking to this very powerful big guy. We're talking, pop, 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 and I have the screen on the television, and it's muted. Can't hear the sound. And I'm seeing this rocket 20 stories tall, something like that, massive. And it used to be white, beautiful, polished white, and now it's all brown from that like 1,000,000-degree temperature coming down, pouring down at 20,000 miles an hour. And it's pouring, and I see that thing is steaming and crazy, and the fire's all over the place. And I'm looking, And then I see the gantry, the big gantry, and I see the thing coming in and slowing down a little bit, but it's still going fast. And I tell this very important guy, listen, would you do me a favor? Hold it for a minute. I'm seeing, just hold it. Hold it. When you're leading in the polls and when you already were president, you can say that to important people. Just hold. So I take the phone, I put it down. The sad part is I never picked it up, I forgot. They'll say, he's cognitively imbalanced. He didn't pick up. These people, are they the worst? So I take the phone, I put it down, I say, just a second, I'm watching something that I don't believe. And I see that fire pouring on the bottom of the rocket and it's coming in sideways. I said, it's gonna crash into the gantry. And then the fire goes on the left side and it pushes it over. And it lands. And then those two big, beautiful arms, they grab it. I said, what the hell was that? Nobody's ever seen anything like that. So I forgot about my other call, and I called immediately Elon. I said, Elon, was that you? He picks up his cell. I said, was that you, Elon? Yes. I said, can anybody else do it? No. Can Russia do it? Can China do it? Can the USA do it outside of you? No, nobody else can do it. I said, what do you call those arms? He said, think of them as chopsticks. I said, that's the way they're like chopsticks. They just grab it and they just put that thing down so beautifully. I said, that's great. So he's great. He gave me the most beautiful, you know where he is now? He's working in Pennsylvania, trying to get us lots of votes because he thinks it's so important. He's campaigning. Because he said this is the most important election in our lifetime. And if Trump doesn't win the election, our country is potentially ruined. I mean, he's as strong as anybody I've ever seen. And we have to say, this is a seriously smart guy, right? You know, he helped us so much with the hurricanes because North Carolina had no communication whatsoever. And I was there early, and I met one of the people that are in charge. And they said, all our wires are down, and people are dying. A tremendous amount of people missing and dying, and the horrible thing. What a horrible hurricane that was. It was a water hurricane, more water than we've ever experienced from one storm. And it created rivers out of valleys. I mean, rivers that were 25 feet high and running down like rapids. It destroyed just about everything. And they had no communication. And the gentleman said to me, is there anything you can do? Do you know a man named Elon Musk? I said, I happen to know him. What's the problem? Could he get us Starlink? We're trying to get it. Nobody can get through. Starlink, you couldn't get it because it's very successful. So I called Elon. I said, Elon, whatever the hell Starlink is, can you do me a favor? Can you get it to North Carolina? They need it so badly. And then we talked just for a couple of minutes. And the guy wires me, thank you very much for getting Starlink. I'm still on the phone with Elon. He said, sir, thank you very much for the Starlink. They said it's coming right away. I said, Elon, we didn't even hang up. How the hell did you do that? He said, that's my secret. He's really a great guy. And he gives up a lot. He gives up a lot. No, he's given up. I mean, it's amazing that he does it. You know, people don't have to. He just feels so strongly that we're not going to have a country left with these people. Because she's really, seriously, this is not a smart person. And it's not a person that understands. And you can't even say, well, let's go to the vice president, because he is really a sicko, right? Remember he called J.D. Vance and I weird? We're not weird. We're very solid people. He's a weird dude, that guy. He's always pumping his heart, ha, ha, ha. You know, like he's got great heart. He's a sick guy. You got both of them. I don't know who the hell is worse. Well, she did one thing that's very smart in the world of politics. She got herself the worst person possible to be vice president. You understand that? Worst. So bad that they'd probably leave her. I don't know. And by the way, how good is J.D. Vance? How good is she? Right? We drafted the athlete. We drafted the athlete. You look at his academic credentials and all of the different things. We drafted a great athlete. He's doing great. He's a great guy, too. So working with Elon Musk, I will cut a record number of job-killing, unnecessary regulations, which will blow your mind when you see how many. And on day one of the Trump administration, I will terminate Kamala's insane electric vehicle mandate, and we will end the Green New scam once and for all. Once and for all. And we will quickly again, we were never energy independent until I came along. We were energy independent. We went from number 4 to number 1 in a couple of years. We have more liquid gold under our feet than Russia or Saudi Arabia. I got Anwar approved. It's as big potentially as Saudi Arabia. In the first week in office, crooked Joe Biden probably made a deal. Crooked Joe Biden terminated the approval. Ronald Reagan wanted it. He couldn't get it done. Everybody wanted it. I got it done. It was all set. They were all set to start drilling. One of the biggest finds anywhere in the world, as big they think as Saudi Arabia. And in the first week, they terminated. We will have that unterminated so fast. Alaska. But we will quickly become energy dependent again. We weren't energy independent before that. To anybody's recollection, we weren't energy independent before that for maybe 100 years. They don't know if at any time, but we were, and we will quickly become energy independent, and we will frack, 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 and drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill, and frack, frack, frack. Now, she's not going to frack. Her whole life, she's talking about, there will be no fracking. There will be no fracking. And I will cut your energy prices in half within 12 months, 50%, half, 50. Starting in January, we will give our companies the lowest taxes, the lowest energy costs, the lowest regulatory burdens, and free access to the single best and biggest market on the planet. But it won't be that way for long. If we have stupid people like this running our country, you're not going to have the big market anymore. It can go very fast. Look at Venezuela. 15 years ago, it was an unbelievable country. Now it's a disaster. They can't get water. They can't get food. But what did Biden do? He starts buying oil from them. Do you believe it? And we have so much. So he's putting them back to health. Such a great move to do. They were ready to give up. We could have let the people go back into Venezuela. This guy, I tell you, the worst. Jimmy Carter is the happiest man because his administration is brilliant compared to these two losers. Jimmy Carter is a happy man. You saw him the other day voting. I think he voted for me. But only if they make their products here. This is it. Got to make their products. Everything is based on you got to make your products in America. No more making them in China, making them all over the place. And you got to hire American workers for the job. And if these companies don't make their products here, then they will pay a very stiff tariff when they send their products into the United States, where they're made by somebody else or some other country. For the privilege of competing with our workers and our cherished, but now very protected companies. We're going to protect these companies. We're going to have a lot of companies moving. You watch Detroit. Detroit, you know, for 40 years ago, I've been hearing about Detroit's coming back. Never came back. It'll come back so fast with a series of brilliant incentives that won't cost us anything, but most importantly, tariffs and taxes. Everybody's going to be moving back into the country because they're not going to want to pay. And one quick story, just a quick, should I say it or should I just get the hell out of here? One quick story. I thought you were going to say that. One quick story. So about a year and a half ago, the largest builder of auto plants, who I know, John, I said, I want to see one of your factories that you're building. He's the biggest. And he said, okay. I said, where would we go? Mexico. I said, I don't want to go to Mexico. What the hell do I want to go? I want to see one here. Well, we don't build them big here. He builds them all over the world. He doesn't care. He builds them wherever the hell they pay him. And that's, by the way, with companies, that's why they move out of our country in 2 minutes if they're not going to be given the right deal. So I said, no, I don't want to go to Mexico. He said, well, the big ones are built in Mexico. I'm sorry. I said, how big is it? The biggest in the world. They're going to build cars. Think of this. Thousands, millions of cars. They're going to sell them into the United States, destroy Michigan. If Michigan doesn't vote for me, I tell you, I'm going to make Michigan richer than anybody. I think even richer than you. I hate to say it. Michigan, we're going to bring back the whole car business, but you could get plants also, okay? Because I don't care. As long as they're in the United States, I couldn't care less. So I said, how big would that be? He said, they'll make more cars than all of the state, the entire state, much more than Detroit. These are big monsters. You press a button and it starts. It's unbelievable. And the biggest in the world. I said, boy, I don't like that. That's going to kill him. So I started talking about it, and this plant that's being built, and everyone said, oh, it's not real. Well, it is. And then it was going to start. And then last week, I spoke in front of the Economic Club of Detroit, and I spoke about cars, and I talked about this plant. And in the audience, just like right where you're sitting, sir, good-looking guy, stand up, please. Right you, that's right. Yeah, stand up. Right in your seat. That's where he sat, right there. I looked in the audience, and who do I see? I see John. And I said, oh, I passed a message to him while I'm speaking, because this was more interesting to me than anything I was doing up there. And I said, I want to see you after, so I see him afterwards. I said, John, tell me something. How is that monster plant, and it's actually more than one, but this one monster, how's it doing? Sir, they've abandoned that plant. What? That's great news, you know, because it's going to kill us. What do you mean they've abandoned? They think you're going to be elected president. You're going to put tariffs on their cars, and they won't be able to make any money. They're going to lose their shirt. They've abandoned the plant. I said, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. Marjorie, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. So Michigan can now keep their car companies going. But in all fairness, those are old plants and stuff. Generally, we're going to give them the greatest new plants. We're going to give them plants that are going to be unbelievable. We're going to put the auto workers. You know, the auto workers want Trump. The Teamsters want Trump. Did you see the Teamsters? The rank and file of the Teamsters voted 62% for Trump. Never happened. Nothing like that ever happened before. The firemen nationwide voted for Trump. The firemen. Never happened before. Never happened before. But I will never apologize for defending America. I'm not going to do it. I will protect our workers. I will protect our jobs. I will protect our borders. I will protect our families. And I will protect the birthright of our children to live in the richest and most powerful nation on the face of the earth, and that's what we're going to have. Under Kamala, you know, this crazy Kamala thing is just crazy. First of all, you can't call her Harris because nobody knows who the hell you're talking about. If I say to the legendary Marjorie Taylor Greene, Harris, I say, what do you think of the job Harris is doing? She'll say, who the hell is Harris? Nobody knows. No, it's the truth. Nobody knows who the hell Harris is. It's the weirdest thing, isn't it? So you have to say Kamala. Under Kamala and her economy, millions of Americans, she has no idea about an economy. She's not a smart person. She's a low IQ individual. She is. She is. She's a low IQ person. Millions of Americans are suffering because of inflation. They're losing their jobs. They can't afford housing, groceries, or a car. And yet Kamala is importing millions of illegals across our borders and giving them taxpayer benefits at your expense. And putting them into luxury hotels in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles while our veterans are sleeping outside of that hotel on the street. So you are witnessing the economic oppression of Americans to reward and enrich illegal aliens. But all of that stops 2 weeks from now. It stops. For 4 straight years, Kamala Harris has imported an army of illegal alien gang members and migrant criminals from prisons and jails, insane asylums and mental institutions from all around the world, from Venezuela to the Congo. You know, the Congo is a hot country now for us. They're sending us their prisoners by the thousands. All over the world, they're coming in. From the Middle East, they're coming in. Their prisons are being opened. Venezuela, their prisons. I would do the same thing. I would do it. I would have done it faster than any of them. Venezuela still has some prisoners left. I mean, it's amazing that they've been so nice to us. They're depositing their prisoners. They're dumping. We're a dumping ground. They're dumping their prisoners, their gang members, their drug lords into the United States of America because they say that America is run by stupid people and they have open borders. They have an open border where anybody can come in, just walk across. Historically, when you have swastikas on your forehead and swastikas all over your cheek and lots of other symbols all over your face, historically, that person isn't going to be a tremendous help to our economy. And yet they walk through that open border and probably say, man, are these people stupid? And then they start to kill. They kill. And we built over 500 miles of wall, and we were going to add 200 miles of wall, and it was already made as per specifications of the Great Border Patrol. They want steel, they want concrete, and they want rebar. I wanted just plank. I wanted concrete, beautiful, like long spans of I'm very good at construction, actually. I wanted long spans of concrete plank. They didn't want, they said you have to have steel because they cut through concrete too easily. We had a whole big deal. But we gave them just what they want. Even the anti-climb panel on the top. You know the big panel of steel? I hate it. I hate the look of it. But guess what? It's called an anti-climb panel for a reason. Put it up there. We have great stuff, very expensive to build, hardened concrete and hardened steel, very hard to cut even with a blowtorch. I had a very hard time taking it down. And then I ordered 200 miles more, and we could have had it put up in 3 weeks to 4 weeks, and they didn't want to put it up. And then they started selling it for 5 cents on the dollar for steel, okay? And then she resettled these people into your communities all over America, and they're the roughest people. When I win on November 5th, the migrant invasion of our country ends and the restoration of our country begins. One of the deadliest and most vicious migrant gangs that Kamala has imported into our country through her open border policy. Remember, she was the border czar. She doesn't like saying that, but she was the border czar. And even if she wasn't, she was in charge of the border. Do you know, I asked the Border Patrol, did she ever call? Not once. I spoke to the top 10 guys. Did any of you, I know them very well. They're phenomenal people, by the way. They want to have a great, strong border. They hate, you know, it's easier for them. Let them pour in. Who the hell needs to get hurt? Because it's a rough deal. These are rough people. And I said, did she ever call? Not once. Not one of them ever received a call. She admits it. She never called them. But the savage Venezuelan prison gang, Tren de Aragua, have you heard of them? They're a lovely group of people, Tren de Aragua, that has taken over apartment complexes and unleashing a violent terror spree all over America, but specifically in Aurora, Colorado, where the governor is petrified of them. He's a radical left Democrat. He is petrified of them. He doesn't know what to do. They've even taken over Times Square. There's a front page article today in the New York Post. They're taking over Times Square in New York, and they have weapons that our military doesn't even have. You say, where the hell are they getting the weapons? But we have guys that want to confront them, and they're going to be allowed to confront them, and we're going to get them the hell out of here. Take a look at this little video.
Open borders, deadly consequences.
Border crisis. Record high crossings are putting a strain on cities across America.
It is a full-blown invasion.
Armed Venezuelan gang members storming an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado.
When people talk about migrant crime, this is what they're talking about. Biden and Harris had created a program to bring them in under humanitarian parole.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented cross-border as criminals.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been released into the United States.
My 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was murdered in her own room. Kayla's murderer was apprehended by Border Patrol crossing illegally into the U.S.
Kayla's murderer had been improperly released into the United States.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah, we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
An Afghan national is in custody today after being accused of plotting an election day terrorist attack. The suspect entered the U.S. on a special immigrant visa.
More than a dozen people suspected of being Tren de Aragua gang members right here in San Antonio.
The gang members had been terrorizing the apartment complex.
New details in the murder of Laken Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect, who cops say committed the heinous murder, is a Venezuelan national.
And was paroled and released into the country by the Biden administration.
2 men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder in the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
Court documents suggest a group of men arrested for beating and robbing a Dallas woman last month are members of a Venezuelan street gang.
Manuel Hernandez was booked by Colleyville police just 2 days earlier and released the day before the robbery.
Can you believe it? And that's nice. That's some of the nice stuff. It's much worse than that. The United States is now an occupied country, but on November 5th, 2024, we will call that Liberation Day. It's going to be Liberation Day. Under Kamala Harris, over 13,000 illegal alien convicted murders from prisons, all in prisons. Some killed more than 5 people. Many killed more than 1. Were allowed to enter the United States, and they're currently on the loose in the United States. Right here in Georgia, our nation was robbed of a brilliant 22-year-old nursing student, the best everything, most respected person, beautiful person. Laken Riley, got to know her family very well. They didn't get to know, they never called her family. They never called. And then he pronounced her name wrong. Remember, he called her Lincoln. Remember that? In Congress, he called her Lincoln, didn't even have the respect of knowing her name. Who was out for a jog when she was assaulted, horribly beaten, and horrifically killed by an illegal alien from Venezuela. The savage monster who murdered Laken was let in and released into our country by the open border policy of Kamala Harris. The brother was also in Georgia of this killer. He was there illegally and is also a member of Tren de Aragua. This gang is violent, but so is MS-13 coming out from all over South America. These are violent. They don't shoot people. They use knives because it's more painful. They killed 2 young, beautiful 16-year-old girls walking to school in Long Island, and they cut them up into little pieces, and they thought it was so wonderful. And you know who got them? Is ICE went in and got them, and Kamala wants to get rid of ICE. Not a lot of people want to do that particular job, but ICE loves doing that job. Earlier this year, an illegal alien that Kamala Harris released into our country brutally stabbed a man in the back and the face, all over his body, in an attempted robbery in Louisiana. The week before, he raped a 14-year-old girl with a knife to her throat. He's killed other people. Immediately upon taking the oath of office, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I will rescue every town across America, and every town is worried about it. Every town is. Look at Springfield, Ohio, beautiful Ohio. I love Ohio. I love Ohio. Look at Springfield, Ohio. a town, small city, but a town of 50,000 people. They've implanted 32,000 illegal migrants into the town. Nobody could survive that. They have to leave. They have to leave. I'm sorry. Nobody can survive that. A 50,000 person town, quickly 32,000 illegal migrants. They call them legal because they had a little trick, but it's illegal. I will rescue every town, and every town is petrified, even if they don't have them, because they know they're coming. They're heading for the towns. They're heading for the towns. Who could do this to our country? Who could do this? Who could do this to our country? It's only good if you are a politician thinking about running for office and running against them. That's about the only thing that's good for. Who could do this to our country? Who could allow this to happen to our country? I will rescue every town across America that has been invaded and conquered, and we will put these vicious, bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of the country, and we'll do it very fast. And to expedite removals of the Tren Aragua and MS-13 gangs from our country, and many others, by the way, I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil. Think of that. We had to go back to 1798. That's when we had laws that were effective. 1798 we had to go back to. And if they come back into our country, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. Automatic if they come back into our country. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer. And I will end catch and release. They'll be released into Mexico. We will have catch and release, but not into America. It'll be catch and release into Mexico. I will end all migrant flights. They fly thousands and thousands of people over the border. They've told you with this bill that they keep saying Trump called the senators and said, don't sign it. They're wrong about that. What they don't say is that they made it a little bit harder because they're getting killed for this election. So they made it a little bit harder. They want to make their numbers look a little bit better. But what they didn't stop are Boeing 747s and 757s and 767s flying over our border, loaded up with migrants and dropping them off in the Middle West and the middle part of our country. They forgot to tell us that, but we saw them. We said, what are all those big planes doing flying there? These people are bad people. So they didn't want to stop anything. I will immediately outlaw sanctuary cities in this country. They're sanctuary for criminals. And I will ban all welfare and federal benefits for illegals, because then they won't come. They won't come. I mean, Gavin Newsom, one of the worst governors of the history of our country. Gavin Newsom, she destroyed San Francisco. Now she wants to destroy our country. That's Kamala. But she worked with Gavin Newsom. What they've done to California, you know, now we have more people leaving California, the most beautiful place. And I tell people I hurt myself when I say that because I have great property there. When I say that, this political game has not been good for me. But I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's peanuts. This is the whole thing. We're going to save our country. What the hell difference does it make? No, it's a killer. I have property in San Francisco, big property. And I say that she's destroyed San Francisco. She started the destruction. It was the best city in America 18 years ago. In California, what they've done what they've done to California, her, Gavin Newsom, the same group, it's just like terrible. They've destroyed it. And we're not going to let them destroy the United States of America. They've gone far enough. As we secure our borders and rebuild our economy, we are also going to make America healthy again. The Kamala health care plan will make our kids sicker and their diets more toxic. Under the Trump administration, we will get the toxic chemicals out of our food supply, and we will make our children healthy again. We will spend more money on health care than any other nation, but think of that. You know, we do. I don't know if you know. We spend more money by far than any other nation. But we have more chronic health problems also than any nation, more childhood diseases than we did just a generation ago. Millions of Americans are realizing that something is wrong. By getting this fixed, not only will we have healthier families, we will save trillions and trillions of dollars and bring down the cost of health care. With us tonight is the man who's going to help us get it all straightened out, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr.
We have 1,000 chemicals in our food that are illegal in Europe. But the problem is not from those chemicals. The big problem is corruption in our federal agencies. And these agencies are now owned by big pharma, by big food, and big agriculture. Don't you want a president who's going to get the chemicals out of our food? And don't you want a president who's going to get the corruption out of Washington, D.C.? And don't we deserve a president of the United States that's going to make America healthy again?
Thank you, Bobby. Nobody gets a standing ovation like that. What's going on over here? That's great, Bobby. Great. Thank you. Thank you. And as you know, Bobby's great mother, she was a great woman, Ethel, passed away, so our regards and condolences to the family. Thank you, Bobby. Our movement is bringing together Americans of all backgrounds who believe in freedom, democracy, and a thing called common sense. Much of it's common sense. Conservative, liberal, it's common sense. Let me also call up two other incredible patriots who want to help save our incredible country. Former Democrat presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard. And, by the way, she just became a Republican. And a great man, a brilliant person, and a true character, Tucker Carlson.
Something? I think Donald Trump's singular contribution to this country and the world is by his presence exposing a lot of things a lot of us believed as fraudulent, as lies. It's changed my life watching it. But the single biggest lie that Donald Trump has exposed is that this is a functional democracy, when in fact, It's a country oppressed by a small group of its unhappiest citizens for their own benefit. And the promise of this campaign is that Donald Trump will return this country to its owners. And that's its population, that's its people, that's its citizens. And I pray fervently that that happens. I mean it. That's why I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
We have seen from the very beginning how much President Trump has been attacked, smeared, censored, the government weaponized against a candidate for president and a former president in ways that have never been seen in our country before. The reason why this has happened is because he is the sole person who has had the courage to stand up against the uniparty war machine in Washington and have the audacity to call for peace and an end to war. While he has challenged the swamp creatures in Washington, all of you have resoundingly nominated him for president 3 times in the last 3 presidential elections. We know whose side he stands on. He stands on the side of the people. He stands on the side of peace and prosperity and freedom for all Americans. It's why I'm proud to stand with President Trump and why we, the people, must vote to send him back to the White House and make America great again.
Great people. Great people. Thank you very much. That is a great group. That is some assemblage of talent. And very great honor to have them. Thank you very much. We're also pleased to be joined tonight by Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. Burt, thank you. Wherever you may be, Burt, thank you. Great guy. And Representatives Mike Collins and Marjorie Taylor Greene, please. Thank you, Marjorie. Future Congressman, congressional candidate Brian Jackie's been with me from the beginning, and now he's a congressman soon. And a wonderful human being, a great man, Ben Carson. Ben, thank you very much. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. Great man. And thank you, Candy. Thank you very much, Candy. State Senator Clint Dixon, terrific. And State Representative Mike Kokas. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Good job. Commissioner Tyler Harper, he's done a fantastic job. And Chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, Josh McCoon. Josh. Thank you. Where's Josh? That's good. Are we doing okay, Josh? I'm hearing we're winning big. That's good. Former Senator Kelly Loeffler and her husband. Her husband, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, darling. Jeff Sprecher, he owns the New York Stock Exchange. This guy's loaded. He owns the New York Stock Exchange. What's that like, Jeff? What is that like? But he's a great guy. Thank you both. A man of tremendous faith, and everybody respects him. Jensen Franklin. Thank you, Jensen. And he's been with me from the beginning, day one, right, with Paula and a whole group of people. I want to thank you. And we just had a little session behind this wonderful stage. We had, must be 45 pastors and ministers. And they were praying. I said, if this doesn't work, nothing's going to work. Nothing's going to work if that doesn't work. But thank you all. You're all incredible people. We have tremendous respect for you. Terrific man. Man was treated very unfairly, but he's a great man, and he really knows what he's doing. David Schaefer. David, thank you. Thank you, David. Where's David? Thank you, David. Great job, David. And the #1 country music artist, Jason Aldean. He's my friend, but he's talented. You know, I played golf with him, and I said, you're much better with a guitar than you are with a golf club. Much. And he wasn't insulted by that, but thank you. Great guy. My son, Eric Trump. Where is Eric? Thank you, Eric. He works. And a woman that likes me because I will not allow men to be in women's sports, Riley Gaines. Thank you. Thank you, Riley. Not even for a day, Riley. We'll do it very fast. Benny Johnson, thank you very much. And Peter Navarro, thank you very much. And Steve Witkoff, one of the great entrepreneurs of our country, actually, Steve Witkoff. But I especially want to thank Charlie Kirk, because he is working so hard. He has worked so hard. He's working on making sure everything is proper. That's what he wants to do. Turning Point Action, the job they do is amazing. The only thing is, one thing when I come here and do this for him, I always have to shake about 15 times the number of people. I was shaking hands for an hour. And, oh, I said, this must be a Charlie Kirk affair. But you know what? He's a fantastic person. The job he does with Turning Point, and I just want to congratulate him and thank him. He's working very hard. So we are running against the most radical, most incompetent, most unfit vice president in the history of our country. No one respects her. No one trusts her. No one takes her seriously. This is a woman who took yesterday off. How do you take yesterday off? You got 13 days, you're running for the presidency, she takes her time off. I've gone 52 days in a row, and I'm not taking any days off, that I can tell you. No, but she's, think of that, she's taking days off at levels not seen. I hear she's taking another one tomorrow or something. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Maybe she knows something we don't know. That's bad, right? Maybe she knows something we don't know. Does everybody understand that? Maybe. She takes a day to study for a simple interview with an MSDNC reporter, but then makes a fool of herself with answers that are so crazy. And we'll never forget 60 Minutes. We're never going to forget it. We can't. I think I'm going to sue them, actually, because there's no way they can answer it. There's no way they can say, no, we don't like the answer she gave, and they immediately replace it with something. There's no way they can answer that. But we are not running against Kamala. She means nothing. She is purely a vessel. She can't put two sentences together. She can't do it. Just like we were not running against crooked Joe Biden, who, by the way, said yesterday about me, quote, we got to lock him up. I told you. He said, then he denied it. I didn't mean that. Because he's not legally allowed to say. He can't say that. But I've been telling you that. It's election interference. This is all it is. He said, we got to lock him up. This is illegal and should cause cases. I mean, look, think of it. I've been under investigation more than the legendary Alphonse Capone, Scarface. And my parents are looking down, and my father was tough, and my mother was great. She was so sweet. And I said yesterday, I know she's in heaven. I'm not 100% sure of my father, but he was a good man. He's a tough guy and a good guy. He had a big heart, too, and he was smart. He was smart. But they're looking down on me now and they're saying, how the hell could my son be worse than Alphonse Capone? How could he be? No, but these are crooked people. This is all election interference. And you know the amazing thing? It made me much more popular. It's crazy, right? Because the people got it. Crazy. But as I've said, these lawsuits are being run by the Department of Justice, the FBI. Biden is behind it all, believe it or not. And he proved that yesterday with his stupid statement. And people are outraged by it, and we're running against something far bigger, far more powerful than them, which is a massive, vicious, crooked, radical left machine that runs today's Democrat Party. It's far bigger than them. This is who we're fighting, and we're fighting them hard. These are the people who are doing such harm to our country with their open borders and record-setting inflation and the Green New scam. They're trying to destroy our country. But we're not going to let it happen any longer. We are going to have the biggest victory in the history of our country on November 5th. We are going to make America great again, November 5th. We are going to make America. Isn't it a beautiful expression, MAGA? Think of it. The greatest movement in the history of our country, and all of that fake news, there's so many of them back there. All of that fake news. If it weren't true, they'd say, he said this and he said that. No, it's the greatest movement by far. You know, I was thinking the other day, there was a good man, Pat Buchanan. A lot of you forget. But he came in second in New Hampshire, and he built a huge career. We came in first in 38 different states, and then we won the presidency. And then we did much better the second time, getting millions and millions of votes more. And something very bad happened. But there is far more enthusiasm right now than for number one or number two by 50%. And you see that by the votes that are coming in at numbers that think of North Carolina. Their property is devastated. Their lives, in many cases, are ruined. Everybody said, if we get 50% of the vote, it would be a miracle. And it was Trump territory, I must say. It was mostly Trump. These are people that vote for me and the Republican Party. And what happens? They broke the all-time, think of it, the house is gone, some lost family members. The devastation, I can't believe it. Trees were turned upside down, buses were thrown 100 yards away or floated there. The devastation was incredible. We really meant if we could get 50% of the vote, it would be amazing. We broke the all-time record. We've never had more votes from those areas than we did. Think of what that means. Oh, think of what it means. It's impossible to conceive. And I want to thank them. North Carolina was really hit. Wow, I saw sites over the last few days. I've never seen anything like it. Kamala Harris does not have the compassion, the intelligence, or the strength to be the president of the United States. She cannot do the job. She's not fit. She's not fit to do the job. She's an international joke. Other countries and their leaders who are very streetwise people, they're at the top of their game. They can't believe this is even happening. She's going to end up getting us into World War III. We're not going to let that happen. And on top of it all, she says she would not do anything differently from Joe Biden, which is absolutely, as far as I'm concerned, disqualifying. Shouldn't even be allowed to run. He has almost a 90% negative path, 90%. And she won't do anything differently, including saving the 325,000 children that I talked to you about. Let's take one quick look.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
I stood there on the tarmac watching you check your watch.
The chaotic and deadly U.S. evacuation from Afghanistan stunned Americans and the world and cost the lives of 13 U.S. soldiers.
Would you have done something differently? There is not a thing that comes to mind.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been caught at the border and then released into the United States.
An Afghan national is in custody today after being accused of plotting an election day terrorist attack. The suspect entered the U.S. on a special immigrant visa.
Gut-wrenching new details in the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect, who cops say committed the heinous murder, is a Venezuelan national who crossed the unsecured southern border back in 2022.
Two men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder and the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
A fifth illegal immigrant accused of attacking two New York City police officers over the weekend showed no remorse or regret.
Would you have done something differently? There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Only 18% say the economy is in excellent or good condition.
US inflation has hit a new 40-year high, increasing by 9.1% over the financial year.
The cost of homes have spiked. Home buyers need to earn 80% more than they did in 2020 to afford a house.
Were you the last person in the room? Yes.
So in closing, here are the facts. Kamala Harris is a radical left Marxist rated even worse than Bernie Sanders or Pocahontas. She destroyed our economy. She was an original creator of defund the police, and anybody who wants to defund the police even for one day is not worthy of being president of the United States. Kamala Harris vowed to abolish ICE. She vowed repeatedly to ban fracking. As California Attorney General, she redefined child sex trafficking, assault with a deadly weapon, and rape of an unconscious person as nonviolent crimes. She pledged to confiscate your guns. She will confiscate your guns, 100%, and endorsed a total ban on handgun ownership. She even called for free sex changes for illegal aliens in detention if they call for it. Think of it. Illegal aliens in detention, they got caught. If they want to have a sex change operation, she's in favor of it. And all at taxpayer expense. And very importantly, and you saw that the other day, she lied about working at McDonald's. She'd never worked there. She's a liar. And she wants to turn our country woke. Take a quick look at this, because we had that toughest. And remember this, I defeated ISIS with our military. They're not going woke. They're not going woke.
You little scumbag! I got your name! I got your ass! You will not laugh! You will not cry! You will learn by the numbers!
Happy Pride. Happy Pride Month, and actually, let's declare it a summer of pride.
So you're a killer? Sir, yes, sir! Let me see your war face! Sir, you got a war face? Ah! That's a war face! Now let me see your war face! Ah! Bullshit! You didn't convince me! Let me see your real war face! Ah! You will be a weapon. You will be a minister of death, praying for war. But until that day, you are puke. You are the lowest form of life on earth. You are not even human fucking beings. You are nothing but unorganized, grabastic pieces of amphibian shit.
How to abracadabra, these bitches know I got answers the way I...
It looks to me like the best part of you ran down and cracked your mama's ass and ended up with the brown stain on the mattress.
Thank you very much. So with your vote this November, we're going to fire Kamala Harris, and we are going to save our country. We're going to save America. With your support, we will cut your taxes, end inflation, slash your prices, raise your wages, and bring thousands of factories back to America and back to the state of Georgia. They're coming back. And it won't even take long. We will build American, we will buy American, and we will hire American. I will end the war in Ukraine. It should have never started. I will stop the chaos in the Middle East, and I will prevent World War III from happening. We were never closer than we are right now. We will crush violent crime and give our police the support, protection, resources, and respect they so dearly deserve. We will strengthen and modernize our military. We will build a massive missile defense shield over our country, all made in the USA. Why shouldn't we have one? And we will land an American astronaut on Mars in a very short period of time. We will rebuild our cities, including our capital in Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. We will teach our children to love our country, to honor our history, and to always respect our great American flag. We will get critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools. We will keep men out of women's sports. I will defend religious liberty. I will restore free speech. And I will defend the right to keep and bear arms, our Second Amendment. After years of building up foreign nations, defending foreign borders, and protecting foreign lands, we are finally going to build up our country, defend our borders, and protect our citizens. And we will stop illegal immigration once and for all. It will be ended. We will not be invaded. We will not be occupied. We will not be conquered. We will be a free and proud nation once again. Everyone will prosper. Every family will thrive. And every day will be filled with opportunity and hope. But for that to happen, we must defeat Kamala Harris and stop her radical left agenda with a landslide that is too big to rig. Early voting is underway. Get everyone you know. Tell your husband, Harry, get out of that sofa, Harry, get out. Turn that damn football game off, Harry. You're going to vote, Harry. After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. That's what we're going to have. With your help from now until Election Day, we will redeem America's promise. We will put America first, and we will take back the nation that we all so love. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will never give in. We will never give up. And we will never, ever back down. And we will never, ever surrender. And together we will fight, 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 and win, win, win. November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country. You will be so proud of your vote when you look back in 25 years, 50 years, a long time. You're going to be so proud. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Georgia. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you all.